Right, next mission at hand. This was after the valve cover, bolt repair, fuel cooler, all that stuff like that. Got it started, everything was running great, and then some wires started smoking somewhere down in here. So we're on to project number 2. I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but I am quite certain that the alternator has gone out. Also, both batteries are now bad, so I've put those on the tester. They're like 2% good. So not good. So I am taking the route of going to change the alternator from the underneath. So I've taken out the fender well on this side. And before I get into that, I'm going to have to get to the belt tensioner right in there from underneath. Wait till somebody comes up to help pull the belt off of that part. But it is so much easier to get through from here. But right now I'm getting into the starter. Let's get back there. Right there, I want to get the wire unhooked. You can definitely see some overheating on the, actually, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, that right there, there's definitely some overheating on that connection there. So we're going to take it off, examine it, see what's going on there. You can see the LED light kind of flickering here. Nice little headband I picked up on the drive I just got back from. So I'm getting that off right now, and I'm going to search every wire around here so I can really want to have a good determination of exactly what that was. And you know what, while it's off, I'm just going to inspect several things. But here we go. All right, definitely some overheat, but I think stopped it in time. But this is going to get repaired, fixed. I'll probably start splicing it back here. It's had an overheat. There's actually quite a bit of excess on this cable. So might shorten this up, put a new lead on it. We'll check that out as an option, but it did get some overheat right there. But just for note, this connection here on the starter is a 16 millimeter. The bracket that's mounted onto the starter is a 13 millimeter. And the wire post that's on the solenoid switch, the brown and green wire in the circuit, is a 10 millimeter. So if anything too, a lot of these I'm going to spec a little bit more. See some exposure there, some of the coating coming off. I think that could have had some heat too. Either way, a lot of this stuff's got to get cleaned up. So this is a starting point, no pun intended. All right, so we just got the belt off of the belt tensioner. So what I've done, I've got 3/8 ratchet already up here, but it's a long 3/8 ratchet. It's a nice long one. Now, it does not get a lot of swing before it hits the next bracket on the fan shroud there, but it was enough. It was not enough movement to get it off of the alternator, which is back up there. Actually, you can see the grooves right at the tip of my finger almost. Yeah, the grooves right there, that is the alternator. So actually it was easier to go ahead and bring it off of the belt tensioner, which is smooth, slide it off the front. That took the tension off, but it's right there, so I should be able to get that back on fine. But not too bad. 3/8 ratchet, pull that off, but I'm underneath obviously. But that one of the less painful things the way that we've done it here recently, so we'll roll with that. All right, so we're getting ready to take some bolts out. I believe all these are 13s. So I've already got the impact socket and a swivel head on there and a non-impact one, but I'm just going to have to use it to reach up there. Turn it on auto. There we go. All right, this wire connector here, before I take out, I've got one of the 3 out. Before I take out anymore, I'm going to unplug this. When I loosen it, I don't want to dangle that. We are going to let it dangle to be able to unhook this one so we can get the wrench on that a little bit better. But so this thing is kind of stuck, and possibly from the heat. So I'm going to try to use the tips of these with water, see if that'll grab a hold of the release that we've got to do manually, or I might have to just hold it in, which I cannot see with my glasses on very well right now. There we go. That worked. yeah, what we're doing is actually, with this wider out, we're able to squeeze down on the unlock and pull back, but just couldn't do it by hand. Okay, just got the bottom 2 bolts out, bottom right, bottom left, and I noticed that the bolt on the bottom left was sticking out, I don't know, maybe 1/4 inch, 3/8 to 1/4 inch, somewhere around in there. And once I got it out, that really made some sense, because it was not the right size. The one on the bottom left was too long, so I'm going to have to find this one. In fact, this one just barely cleared coming out, getting by the frame, because the angle was having to go out so far at an angle before it's getting there. It was close to not being able to get it out, so I'm going to find the proper bolt for that for the future. But get ready to get the top right one now. All right, so we got her loose. So now I'm going to pretty much do this by hand. We'll turn it out a little bit more. It's out. Cool. Old alternator out, which is kind of obvious which one it is. But a couple little things you can notice right off the bat when you get it out. The spin, I'm going to say it's going 1/2 to 3/4 rotation probably with it. This one, right just now stopping. So give it a good twist. Still going, still going, still going, still going. Stop. And then you can hear, yeah, you can hear the roughness in there. So I'm going to get a closer up shot and show you a couple more things on it. Real close up in the front fins here, where the air intake comes in this way from it and blows through this area. But you start seeing this shiny varnish looking material. That is from breakdown of wiring, and it may be kind of hard to see, but yeah, you can actually see right there. You see that split on the coating. Can't even stick my finger in there. But this is all kind of, some places are melted down. There is a lot of heat that's part of this. No major. I think this just happened, turned it off, and, you know, didn't catch fire. I think that's the good thing about it. You can probably see some, not really bad, but I see some rust on some metal too that looks, that's usually a sign from overheat and so on. So we kind of caught it in time, I'm going to say. I mean, it failed. It was not working right, but once you get over and you can start seeing into the new parts thing on it, all right, we're at the connector for the back of the alternator, and as you can see, it looks terrible. So I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper, lightly coat that off, get it shiny. Let me see the back side here. It's pretty shiny there because of the nut, but this side is not good enough, so we're going to clean that up. I could not get this camera in here at the same time I was putting this up in here, but what worked best for getting this back in that space was the serpentine pulley that rotates. Putting that in first, but I'm pulling back this harness and actually trying to go straight in with the serpentine, or with the front mount, straight in here at this high part. Was higher back in here, and then rotated to the right, and it actually went in quite easy. Now we're getting the wire hookup on the back. I've already turned it a couple times. I'm going to tighten that up. Hey, just a little side note along the way, if you have noticed an extra line here. This is actually the line that's coming to the inflatable bags in the spring here. So that is, if you don't see that on yours, that's because you don't have this system. But I just thought I'd point that out. All right, so this shot's going to be a little more unsteady. As you can see, I'm back under the right fender well still. I was getting ready, I've already brushed the connection to the starter. Back on, brackets back on, the wires on, all that's good there. And I was going to go put the nut on the end of it. Of course, reaching back in here, you cannot see anything. So it's just by feel. And man, I come back out to do something else and went back to get the socket on it and tighten it up and could not find the nut. It's like it fell off. It didn't feel like it threaded right at first, so you can see that it's not on there. I can't really point right there. You can see that it's not on there. So I looked around on this gravel floor and dirt everywhere, nighttime, could not find it. Finally got frustrated, went on in, took a break, and so again, so I think it's good to add in some things that don't go right or when we don't do things right, so maybe somebody else will learn from it. But man, I got frustrated last night. And then during my sleep, I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, you know what? Either it's in the end of a socket somewhere. So I looked at all those, or all the little possibilities, looked around on the ground, and then the other thing that dawned on me in the middle of the night was that since I can't see what I'm doing, when I reach my hand back in here, I may have actually started putting the nut on the other post, and sure enough, I did. If you can see the one in the back behind the shiny copper, there's 2 nuts on that. So yeah, I did get it started. So that's where it's at. So if you ever lose it and it's not on the ground and it's not in a little void here on the axle, it's not in one of your sockets, maybe that's where it's at. All right, we're gonna get this tightened up. All right, so I've got the hookups are back on the starter. The alternator is in, everything's hooked up snug. Now there is some loose harness stuff here that I'm going to come back and work on some fitment. I think some new wire ties and a few things to do that, but we're going to do a test start here in just about a while, hopefully. But I just got the belt, the serpentine, back on there, and it actually went on way easier than I had expected. That 3/8 ratchet is the ticket. Super nice, lots of leverage, small so it can get up in there and get in the belt tensioner. And then basically you're pulling it this way. So this towards you, taking the tension off. And what I found was best, I crawled under, had my right hand on the ratchet pulling that, and my left hand was coming up on this side of the frame rail. And I actually let it get onto the alternator first, and then have it loose in front of the belt tensioner, and then it was able to slip over that fairly easy. A couple movements, it started to come off the main. I just kept wiggling it a couple times and went quite well. We'll chalk that one up for a win during all this stuff. All right, we're going through a all module test with everything on this just to check. I could have bumped anything, connection, all that. So it's just going through a full scan check, and then we're going to go do an alternator test, COE, all that kind of jazz, just to see if anything's going on. And let's see, we do have 2 on the powertrain. We're going to look those up, see what's going on there. I'll let you know. Oh, everything seems to be fine. We've been running for a little while, and I've taken this through several function tests, actuators, alternator tests, a bunch of module tests and everything. With this is a Nova 5610 scanner ODB. I love it. It's been actually pretty awesome. Some of the interaction stuff, bidirectional testing it will do with things, but also just discovered that my tablet holder that I use when I'm snow plowing actually works just perfect to hold this. So one thing I'm going to do right now is go take this for a test drive, but I got to put a wheel back on. I got to put the right front wheel back on, and then I'm just going to give another once over, just looking at everything. So tools too. I usually leave something laying somewhere, so go put the tire on, we'll go for a run.